My paycheck protection loan has been approved and the funds were deposited. Check this out real quick. Oh, wow, that was way too quick. But we'll go right back to that in just a minute here. This morning, I was just on my phone. I opened up my bank account. I was scrolling through the transactions like like any financial YouTuber does. And I refreshed it and boom, the funds were deposited into my account. Now I knew I was already approved for the application. It was just a matter of waiting with the SBA. And I wasn't really sure when exactly to expect this. Now, the last I heard was probably about 10 days ago that it got sent to the SBA. So there was quite a bit of time in between my lender approving this and the SBA actually approving it and the funds being dispersed. So let's go through the entire process that I took here. As you know, I have been on top of the Paycheck Protection Program from the very beginning. Even the very first Paycheck Protection Program, I have multiple videos on it breaking down what exactly you need to do in order to get funding. Then comes the second round. I've done everything I can to both be prepared and teach everyone I can possibly get my hands on, teach the details of this program. So everyone who is eligible for this gets this. Literally every single friend of mine who owns a business, I have sent them a text and said, have you applied for this? I will help you if you haven't. Like, it has been my life's mission to make sure everyone gets funding from this because it's so monumental. I mean, this kind of thing does not come around often for small business owners. I mean, it's like the equivalent of a 10x stimulus check, depending on your situation. It's absolutely amazing. So I've been on top of this. I've talked to the heads of the SBA. I've talked to the heads of banks. It's been pretty wild. So I had all my paperwork in place up front because, of course, I knew what to expect. The paperwork that I had for my business, because I have employees, I have payroll. I own a moving company, by the way, if you aren't aware, I own a moving and storage business. So my loan is based on payroll. So I had verification of payroll, which was 941 forms for me. I had a tax return, my government ID, my driver's license, a bank statement from February of 2020 just to prove that I was in business at that time. I had a voided check, and I think that was it. It was fairly easy paperwork-wise for my loan. Now, a side note here, I actually have 2 PPP loans because of how my business is structured. There's 2 separate entities, and because of my situation, I had to apply for 2 PPP loans. I've only received 1, so I'm going to go into a little bit more details on that later. But anyways, I applied on the very first day that this program was open. So I mean, we're talking over a month and a half ago. I applied very first day with the correct paperwork, and I just received the deposit. So if you haven't received yours yet, don't be too concerned because I literally just received mine and I've only received 1 of 2 of mine. So I applied first day. I used Womply, the lender that I've been talking about, and really talking about how great their customer support is and just compared to everyone else, how well they've handled this. Now, I will say it's been a struggle for everyone because there's rule changes at the SBA. Lenders are just more bogged down than ever. But they've done an extremely good job. And more recently, they just came out with a 5-minute application, which is also linked in the description, where if you're a solo operator, you can literally apply in 5 minutes. It's amazing. I have other videos walking through that, so I'm not going to go too much into details here on this video. But I applied first day through Womply and submitted all my documentation, submitted the application right away. And then it was kind of just the waiting game. After that, I guess my personality is to be diligent. So, you get connected with a specific person at the bank. I probably sent 3 or 4 emails over the next 3 or 4 weeks just to make sure that they had everything they need. Hey, just following up, making sure you have everything I need. Is there any documentation I can provide? The first time they did request some documentation, they requested that I send in my 941s again, even though I had already uploaded them. So I just sent those again via email, and then we were good to go on that end. And then it just went to processing. For my other loan, I also went through Womply, and I got connected with a different lender with that one. The other one was through Harvest. And their process was fairly easy as well. And I submitted my paperwork, my application, everything that was needed. And that has been actually processing for much longer. I followed up several times with them. And right now my application is just sitting at the SBA. It just simply hasn't been approved yet by the SBA, and I haven't received funding. So I expect that within the next week or 2, but of course it might be a little bit longer depending. Now, like I said, with my business, we have employees. So my PPP loan is just going to go to payroll, 100% to payroll. It's calculated based on payroll. It's easiest forgiveness wise to just spend it on payroll, especially in my case because I have payroll expenses. If there's anything left over, I'll just put it towards utility payments or potentially supply payments. But I think payroll will suck that all up. So I'm not an employee of my business. I guess technically I am, but I don't take like a regular paycheck through my S corp. So I'm not getting direct benefit in that way, but you can't say as a business owner you're not getting benefit from this because that money would have just come out of my account anyways to pay payroll. Plus there's that tax benefit that was changed in the latest stimulus bill where the expenses you spend your forgivable loan on are also tax deductible. And I don't think this is talked about enough how huge that is. Okay, so let me just pull up my loan size again. This is one of my loans. I received $30,364. Also, coincidentally enough, I received $264 more the second time with the exact same figures. The first time they just rounded down for whatever reason. Also, this is the name of my business. This isn't just like a personal attack on me. Anyways. So the tax benefit here is huge. I'm going to spend that $30,000 on payroll. And under the original guidance, like last March, that wouldn't be tax deductible. So basically I would have to pay tax on the profit of that $30,000. Because remember, this also isn't taxable income. When you receive $30,000, you're not paying taxes on that. But then they changed the rule so I can spend that $30,000 on legitimate expenses and write off those expenses from my taxes. So there's like literally this legal double dipping on tax. I don't know the exact benefit, but if the tax rate is, let's say just 20%, which it's actually higher than that, but let's just say 20% to make this easy. That's like an extra $6,000 for me in net stimulus benefit just because of the tax end of this. It's so insane, and this applies for everyone, whether you're a contractor, whether you're a small business owner, you have employees, no matter what, this is a great advantage. And then plus, if you receive the EIDL grant, this isn't deducted, the grant isn't deducted from your PPP loan either. So really, I'm just excited about all of this. I expected to receive it, but to actually see the deposit, it's like, okay, this thing is real. And I'm expecting to receive about another $20,000 more from the other entity that, they're both related, but there's two separate entities. So I'll be receiving that in the next week or two. And I just really wanted to put this out just to say, like, if you're sitting back and you've been like, I've been waiting 6 weeks since I applied and I haven't received anything, don't give up hope. Because I literally talk about this stuff every single day, and I just got my first deposit out of 2, and it could be weeks more until I receive the second one. So don't give up hope. If you have any questions, leave them in the comments below. And the next step will be forgiveness. Now, as of right now, forgiveness is pretty darn easy. It's just a one-sheet form. I have a video on it on my channel if you're curious just what the form looks like, but it's super simple. And I only expect this to get easier. With that 5-minute application that I talked about earlier, it's actually completely automated. So you just connect your bank account, and then once it comes time to forgiveness, they just pull the transactions and you just get forgiveness applied automatically. So if you're like a solo operator, it's extremely easy, especially because in order to prove forgiveness, you just need to pay yourself, which, okay, yeah, I'll just pay myself. That's as easy as it can be. It's a little bit more confusing if you have employees, but it's a one-sheet form. I'm personally not worried about it. Plus, you have 10 months until after your covered period where you need to apply for forgiveness. So even for your first PPP loan, you have until like June or May to apply for forgiveness. So there's not a huge rush there. I'm personally just waiting because I think the process is just going to get easier and easier. So I'm just really happy to get the deposit. Don't worry if you haven't got yours yet. I'd like to thank you for watching, and I hope you have a profitable day.